everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
You guys sent in a really cool article. It asks, is virtual reality the future of education? And I gotta say, I'm pretty intrigued.
Yeah, definitely some thought-provoking stuff in there.
For sure. I mean, training surgeons in VR, taking virtual field trips to Mars.
hmm
This is like next level learning, you know?
Yeah, it really is pushing the boundaries.
Totally. So,
It's exciting to think about the potential.
so maybe we should start by like defining what VR in education actually means.
Right. Yeah, because it's more than just putting on a headset.
Exactly.
VR education is about creating these interactive 3D environments.
Like stepping inside a video game almost?
Yeah, exactly. It could be simulating a real place or even an imaginary world.
Okay, so like I could be exploring the Amazon rainforest
Yeah.
or like the inside of a human cell.
Yeah, or even a completely fictional world from a book you're reading.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
So how does this actually like transform learning?
Well, the article talks about making education more engaging, immersive, and personalized.
Okay, I get the immersive part, being in the experience.
Right.
But how does that actually help you learn better?
It's about making you an active participant rather than just a passive observer.
Okay, so like instead of just reading about ancient Rome,
You could be walking through the streets, seeing the Colosseum up close.
wow, that would be amazing.
Yeah, you'd feel like you're actually there.
I can see how that would make it more memorable.
And then the personalized aspect comes in because VR can adapt to your learning pace and style.
Okay, so if I'm struggling with a concept,
The VR experience could slow down, provide extra explanation.
or I'm getting it quickly,
It could speed things up and give you more challenging tasks.
so it's like a personal tutor in a way.
Exactly.
So let's talk about some actual examples of how VR is being used right now.
Okay, so there are platforms like Engage VR where you can attend a virtual classroom.
Wait, so I could be in a class with people from all over the world, all while wearing VR headsets.
Yeah, it's already happening.
That's so cool.
And then there are virtual field trips with things like Google Expeditions.
Oh man, I've always wanted to visit the Great Wall of China.
Well, now you can, virtually at least.
That's still pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's not just about seeing the sights. It's about learning about the history, the culture.
Right,
It's
right.
a much richer experience than just looking at pictures in a book.
Okay, but what about more practical stuff?
Ah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Oh,
There are companies using VR to train surgeons.
I read about that. It blew my mind.
Yeah, like also VR and medical realities.
So they're literally performing virtual surgeries.
Pretty much.
How does that even work?
They use these incredibly realistic simulations where they
Hmm.
can practice different procedures.
Wait, so they make mistakes in the VR world and not on a real patient.
Exactly. It's a safe way to learn.
That is amazing.
And there's research showing it's incredibly effective. Yeah, like a PwC study found that VR training led to a 4x faster learning rate and a 275% confidence boost.
That's a huge improvement.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So VR isn't just for fun then?
It has some serious real-world applications.
I'm starting to see that for sure.
And then there's the whole personalized learning aspect we talked about earlier.
Right, right. Like tailoring the lessons to each student.
Exactly.
So how's that working in practice?
Well, for example, in math, you could have students visualizing geometric shapes in VR.
So instead of just like looking at a 2D drawing in a textbook.
They could be interacting with a 3D shape, rotating it, seeing how it works.
Oh, I see.
And in language learning, you could have students practicing conversations with AI avatars.
Oh, wow.
These avatars can speak different languages with different accents.
So it's like having a conversation partner who's always available.
Yeah, and it's a safe space to make mistakes and learn from them.
That's a really cool application.
Yeah, VR is really opening up a lot of new possibilities in education.
It sounds like it.
And it's only going to get more advanced and more accessible in the future.
So what about the platforms?
Hmm.
Are there specific companies leading the charge in bringing VR into the classroom?
Oh yeah, that definitely.
Like you mentioned Engage VR. And what was the other one?
Nearpod.
Right, Nearpod.
Yeah, they offer pre-made VR lessons.
Oh, so teachers don't have to create everything from scratch.
Exactly. It makes it much easier to integrate VR into the curriculum.
That makes sense.
It's all about making it more accessible for educators.
But I imagine there's still some challenges, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like cost. I bet those headsets are expensive.
Yeah, cost is a big one.
And then not everyone has good internet access, especially in rural areas.
Absolutely.
So there's a risk of widening the digital divide.
Right. We need to make sure that VR doesn't just benefit those who can afford it.
That's a really important point.
We need to think about equity and accessibility.
For sure.
And we also need to be mindful of potential downsides.
Oh, like what?
Well, some people worry about students becoming too reliant on technology
Yeah, I could see that.
or experiencing negative side effects from prolonged VR use.
Oh, like eye strain or motion sickness.
Exactly. It's important to use VR responsibly.
So it's not a magic bullet. It's a tool that needs to be used carefully.
Right.
It sounds like there's a lot more to discuss about VR and education.
Definitely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Well, I'm definitely hooked. This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I think we've given everyone a lot to think about for now, though. We'll come back after a quick break and dive deeper into those potential downsides and the ethical considerations, and also that mind-blowing idea of VR merging with augmented reality. So stick with us.
It's going to be good. Welcome back.
So before the break, we were talking about VR and AR kind of like merging together in education.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept.
It is, but I'm having a little trouble picturing it.
Okay, well, imagine you're in a biology class, right?
Okay, yeah.
And you're studying the human heart.
Oh, I remember those diagrams from textbooks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But instead of just looking at a flat image
Yeah.
with AR,
Yeah.
you could have a 3D holographic model of the heart.
Wait, really?
Yeah, right there in front of you.
So I could see it beating.
You could see the blood flowing through the chamber.
And I could like rotate it and stuff.
Yeah, zoom in on different parts, even dissect it virtually.
Wow. That's way cooler than a plastic model.
Exactly. It's about making it more interactive and engaging.
Okay, that makes sense for something visual like anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
But what about subjects that aren't so visual?
You mean like history or literature?
Yeah, how would AR work for those?
Oh, think about it. You could use your tablet or phone to scan an image in your textbook,
Okay.
and then boom, you have a 3D model of an ancient city or artifact popping up right there.
Like a mini museum exhibit in my own classroom.
Exactly. Or imagine reading a novel and then being able to step into the world described in the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, walk around the setting, interact with the characters. It would be incredible.
It would. But with all this amazing technology, we can't forget about the ethical side of things, right?
You're absolutely right.
Like all that data being collected.
Yeah, data privacy is a big one.
What kind of data are we talking about here?
Well, these systems can track things like your eye movements,
Okay.
your head position, how long you spend looking at something,
Oh, wow.
even your emotional responses during the VR experience.
That is a lot of personal information.
Yeah, and we need to make sure it's being used responsibly.
So, like, who has access to this data?
Exactly. And how is it being stored?
Hmm.
We need clear guidelines and regulations around data privacy in these virtual learning environments.
And what about the students?
Mhm.
Do they know what data is being collected?
That's a great point.
Do their parents know?
Yeah, we need transparency and consent.
Absolutely.
It's about protecting student privacy.
And then there's the whole issue of digital equity.
Not all students have the same access to technology or the internet.
Exactly. So how do we make sure that VR and AR don't just make those inequalities worse?
It's a tough question, but it's something we have to address.
For sure.
We need to make sure that schools have the resources to provide devices and internet access to every student.
Yeah. And what about support for families who maybe can't afford it at home?
Right. We need to think about community programs, partnerships with tech companies.
It's a big challenge,
It-
but it's important.
yeah, we can't let the digital divide widen any further.
And then what about bias?
Hmm.
Like in those AI avatars we talked about.
Oh, yeah, that's a really important point.
If they're mostly based on one type of person?
It could perpetuate stereotypes and limit inclusivity.
Exactly.
We need to make sure these technologies are designed to be diverse and representative.
And what about potential negative side effects from using VR and AR?
Right. We talked about things like cyber sickness and eye strain.
Yeah.
It's important to set time limits for VR use, make sure students take breaks.
And monitor them for any signs of discomfort. So it's not all sunshine and roses. There are real risks involved.
Yeah, we have to be aware of those risks and take steps to mitigate them.
Okay, so we've talked about the ethics, the potential downsides. But what about the actual applications? How are VR and AR being used in classrooms today?
Oh, there are some really cool examples out there.
Like what?
Well, medical schools are using VR to train surgeons.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right.
I still can't believe that's a real thing.
Oh, it is. Companies like Also VR are creating these incredibly realistic simulations.
So, like, they can practice surgeries without actually cutting into anyone?
Exactly. It's a game changer for surgical training.
And it's not just for surgeons, right?
Nope. VR is being used in all sorts of fields.
Like what?
Well, in engineering schools, they're using it to create virtual models of buildings and bridges.
So they can test out their designs before building anything in real life?
Exactly. And in architecture and design,
Oh, yeah.
They're using VR to create immersive walkthroughs of spaces.
So you can experience what it would be like to be inside a building before it's even built.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's really cool.
It's about making learning more hands-on and experiential.
But what about the teachers? Are they being replaced by all this technology?
Not at all. The teacher's role is actually more important than ever.
Really?
Yeah, they become facilitators, guiding students through these experiences.
So instead of lecturing at the front of the classroom?
They're working with students individually, helping them make connections, providing personalized support.
Oh,
It's about empowering teachers with technology, not replacing them.
that's good. I was a little worried there for a minute.
Well, and what about the students themselves?
Yeah, do they even like learning this way?
Well, from the research I've seen, they're actually really engaged and motivated.
Really?
Yeah, they find it fun and exciting.
Makes sense.
And they say they learn more effectively this way.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Right. And of course, not every student is going to love it.
Yeah, some people might find it overwhelming.
Distracting, yeah.
So it's important for teachers to be sensitive to those differences.
Absolutely.
Make sure everyone feels comfortable.
Yeah, create a supportive learning environment.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation.
Yeah, it's been great.
We've talked about the good and the bad,
The potential and the challenges.
and it seems like there's still so much to learn.
Oh, yeah, we've just scratched the surface.
Wow, we'll have to come back another time and dive even deeper.
Yeah, fully.
But for now, we have one more segment left in this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to explore what the future holds for VR and AR in education, the potential for even more immersive and personalized experiences.
Exciting stuff.
And we'll talk about the role of artificial intelligence in all of this.
AI is a game changer.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more.
Me too. It's going to be fascinating.
So stick with us. We'll be right back after a quick break. Welcome back, everyone.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, VR and AR in education.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is.
Lots of potential, but also challenges.
For sure.
So where do we go from here? What's the future look like?
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about.
Well, one thing that's really exciting is the role of artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah, AI seems like it could be huge in education.
Yeah, especially when it comes to personalized learning.
Okay, how so?
Well, imagine AI-powered virtual tutors.
Virtual tutor.
Yeah, basically a personalized learning companion that can adapt to your individual needs.
So it would know what I'm good at and what I need help with.
Exactly. It could provide real-time feedback, adjust the difficulty level of lessons.
So if I'm struggling with something,
It could slow down, give you more practice.
and if I'm getting it quickly,
It could speed things up, give you more challenging material.
that's amazing. It's like having a tutor who's always available.
Yeah, and it's not just about instruction. AI could also help create even more immersive learning experiences.
Okay, how?
Well, imagine virtual environments that respond dynamically to your actions and choices.
So it's not just a pre-programmed experience. It changes based on what I do.
Exactly.
Wow.
It becomes a truly interactive and adaptive learning adventure.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
But is this stuff actually happening? Or is it still just a dream?
Some of it is already being developed and tested.
Really?
Yeah, in labs and classrooms around the world.
So it's not just science fiction anymore.
Nope.
That's so cool.
Of course, there's still challenges, like the
Yeah.
cost of developing and implementing these technologies.
Yeah, and making sure everyone has access.
Right. Digital equity is a big one.
And what about the ethical stuff?
Yeah. AI raises a whole new set of questions about data privacy,
Yeah.
algorithmic bias.
It's important to be mindful of those things.
Absolutely.
We don't want to create new problems while trying to solve old ones.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it.
Right. We need to be thoughtful and responsible.
Develop good pedagogical approaches.
Yeah, make sure we're using these technologies to create truly transformative learning experiences.
Experiences that benefit everyone.
Exactly.
This has been a really fascinating conversation.
I've really enjoyed it.
Me too.
I think we've given everyone a lot to think about.
Yeah, VR and AR in education.
It's a rapidly evolving field,
It is.
and it's definitely one to watch.
I agree.
It has the potential to change the way we learn in some really profound ways.
So if you're interested in learning more about this, we'll be sharing some resources in our show notes.
Yeah, definitely check those out.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, join the conversation on social media.
Let us know what you think about the future of VR and AR in education.
It's an exciting time to be part of this conversation.
It is.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring the possibilities.